These three gentlemen take mental well-being seriously, but are not serious. They'd rather swear and make irreverent jokes. Now that you know, the healing may commence.
Well. We meet again, listeners. I thought I told you not to come around here anymore, and yet here you are, listening to our podcast. It's me, your very best friend, Ryan Brown, and with me is over here...
I'm the shepherd of the forest, Brandon Full, and you want me to whack him, boss? You want me to whack him?
I want you to give him the clamps, and down there... Keeping an eye on things low to the ground.
You're now welcome round these parts. It's me, David Musgrave, the man kissed by all angels. And you're about to kiss some fishes.
Oh, okay.
You're
not where I thought it was going to go, but I'm glad.
It's like sleeping with the fishes, but kissing them, I guess. I don't know.
I'm going to take you to the nicest aquarium.
You're going to be in proximity to some fish, probably against your will.
No, you're gonna like it. We are definitely going to a really nice aquarium where they have a fish kissing experience. It's consensual.
Uh-huh.
It's nice. You're gonna want to wash your lips afterwards. Go ahead.
You might need some antibiotic or something.
Yeah.
Something. Hey, gang, what's up? What's up, you cool dudes?
You're looking at.
How are you?
Swell.
I'm looking at him, all right.
Hey.
How are you?
Who wants to check in first?
I'll check in first because I'm short. Mine will be short. Oh, wait. Did you want to go, David?
No.
You can't.
No.
David had his hand up.
Brandon does.
You did put your hand up.
He did put his hand up.
But the podcast called it.
Yeah,
podcast did call it, though.
I've been pretty good. I had a doctor's appointment today. I think I talked about it's my yearly doctor's appointment. I think last year I talked about my doctor's appointment on the podcast, and I'm going to say the same thing this year that I said last year, which is he diagnosed me with being fat. So I need to work on my weight some. I'm not like he did my blood work last year, and he looked at it this year, weirdly enough, and he was like, well, your sugar's a little high, but it should be fine. But we're going to keep an eye on this over the next year. So I'm not pre-diabetic, but he was like hinting that that's a possibility down the road. So he kind of scared me straight. So I'm just drinking black coffee, baby.
When you walked in, did he kind of do one of these? Be like, yeah, I've seen this before. Acute chubbiness. Was it like that?
Yeah. No, he made me turn around. He goes, let me look at you from all angles. And he did one of these things, I pretty womaned.
Oh, nice.
No, I don't know that you should go back to that doctor, Brandon. Not without an adult present.
Yeah. He did show me how he works out, which was a little weird.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think you might have gotten molested, Brandon. I don't want to.
He made me hold some resistance bands, and then he like checked my muscles to see.
He was like,
"Man,
you like gladiator movies, Brandon? You ever been to a Turkish prison?"
But that's pretty much how I've been. I've been working still, nothing else. I'm looking forward to the holidays. I like the time off, and I like Thanksgiving, so that should be fun. That's what I'm holding out for, holidays.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Anything else?
No, not really. Are we doing a Grey Matter Munchies? Because if we are, I will talk about what I've been Grey Matter munching at the end of this episode.
Yeah.
Sure, we can do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
then I will hold off on the other big part of my life right now, which is a video game, of course. So
cool.
All right, you keep it in your drawers then. What about you, David?
I've also been getting some sweet doctor action down here. Your basement boy.
Well, speaking of that, has he touched you in your swimsuit area?
No, I'm actually offended. I feel like
you say you sound disappointed.
Yeah,
no.
Brandon's been getting the special attention, and I have not. Apparently, no. They took my blood, and I peed in a cup, and I did get an ultrasound, which made me feel like a pretty lady getting now I know what it's like to be pregnant. Easily.
Well, now you know. Now you know exactly what it's like.
Exactly.
You know the entire struggle.
And you know what? It's not that bad.
I don't know what the big deal is.
It's.
I don't know what all the hubbub is. It's really not that bad.
Fuss.
Yeah. For real.
What are all these ladies talking about?
But yeah, so yeah, update on that is I feel a lot better for the most part. I still am having some weird discomfort and some symptoms here and there, but I've been eating really well and I've been pooping like a beast. Yeah, lots of.
Is that good or bad?
Good, I guess.
If you're pooping like into a beast.
I've been eating lots of whole grains and vegetables and fruits and whatnot and lean meats and fishes. So I suppose,
that's healthy.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh. So I suppose that the poop aspect of it is warranted. However, I gotta say, I'm not gonna talk about my poop a lot. I promise.
You talk about your poop as much as you need to. You get it out, whatever's in your heart or your bowels.
This is a mental hellness check-in, not a physical hellness check-in. So I'll move along quickly. But it's really weird. Like, I'm just going to use simple numbers here. If I put 3 units in, I feel like a good 6 to 7 units are still coming out, and I'm not sure how that's working. So I don't know if I had like.
Wait, have you counted your bones lately?
I haven't. Hold on, let me.
Might be
you guys go ahead. I'll count throughout the podcast. This might take a minute. That's not a bad idea to double check.
You keep going.
But other than that,
it's good. It's just good to check periodically.
Yeah,
just make sure you still got the same amount of bones that you always
did. You want to avoid the bone thieves.
Right.
It's true. That is true.
The
ones in my toilet.
Ones who steal the bones. Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, I've been okay. Like I've been, like I said, feeling pretty good, feeling well, getting better, hopefully less scary. But I'll know more later next month. So stay tuned. Jeez, I can't even talk. Ryan, what about you?
Hey, gang. I'm just worn out as hell these days. I spent all week, the past several weeks, in and out of local high schools doing suicide prevention courses for folks. I got to do it again tomorrow and Thursday, and then again next week. It's exhausting, to say the least. Not just from a physical standpoint, because it's not really, but like, I don't know. If you get like, it feels like, how after you have to like perform in some way, like in some capacity, afterwards you feel just like utterly spent and drained. It's like that, except for I have to do it like 7 times in a day, every day for a week. So like at the end of the week, I'm just like, I don't want to exist anymore. And it's not like I'm teaching math or science or something. I'm teaching suicide prevention. So it's difficult, but I am very exhausted.
Yeah, that seems like a heavy topic to have to face over and over and over and over with teenagers,
especially when you're not not great yourself. You know what I mean? When it's like,
yeah,
this is clearly something that we've struggled with, and we'll talk about that today, in fact, but it's a lot. And then my team, my boss, my coworkers, they're all very supportive. And I'm pretty sure if I had said like, I don't want to do this, someone take this week for me, someone probably would have done it, but it would have been a huge inconvenience and required like everyone rearranging all their schedules and whatnot. Plus, that would be a shitty thing to do. So, you just kind of power through, roll with it, I guess.
I was going to say you bite the bullet, but that's a bad analogy for what we're talking about.
Yeah, I guess. But yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else.
You take the bottle of pills and drink the bottle of vodka, you just.
Yeah, maybe not that one.
Oh.
But
you're
We'll get there. We'll find it. I feel like we're circling it.
I'm counting bones at the same time, so my analogies are just, they're not clicking.
So it's just you're just
multitasking, you know.
But yeah, other than that, no, just sort of trying to, I don't know, keep my head up, trying to keep going makes it kind of difficult.
I mean,
but,
is there
that's all.
Is there part of you that's like, you know, if I just help one person in this experience, like,
yeah, and that's kind of where I am with it is because, you know, I don't know if you've talked to a teenager, let alone an entire army of them. It's in some cases, in some circumstances, it's like talking to a really hostile brick wall. They don't like you. They don't want you to be there. They don't want to talk about this thing, and they'll let you know. They will let you know. It's just a cold, dispassionate, hard stare and crossed arms, and a lot of laughing and giggling that says, "Get a load of this guy. Look at how he actually cares about something." But then, you know, some kids, it seems like they actually are paying attention. So you never know. And then you get the odd, every once in a while, you get a kid who is perhaps sharing too much with everyone, where they're like, "Oh, I went to a therapist." It's like, good, you know, you do what you got to do to take care of your mental health. It's like, it's Doctor Such and Such. Do you know them? I'm like, nope, we don't all know each other. In fact, yeah, we don't all go to the same meetings. But yeah. Well, anything else you guys want to talk about or say?
I do want to say, unrelated to anything else we've said so far, for the beginning of this episode, my webcam was recording me instead of my microphone. So now I'm on my microphone. I should sound 1,000 times better.
Oh, okay, good. Well, you do sound great.
That's for the listeners. If I sounded
in my
weird
ears,
at the beginning.
My ears have been tickled pink by your voice from the beginning, so I'm not sure.
Perfect. Cat.
So today, gang, I've tentatively titled this episode in my notes here, "The Kids Aren't All Right." And it's because today we're going to talk about what it was like specifically for the three of us being children in the 90s, growing up with people, young people with mental illnesses, surrounded by people who not only didn't help, in some cases actively hindered, in some cases were afraid to let us get the help we needed. Basically growing up as kids, mentally ill in the 90s in a less than conducive circumstance to our own continued well-being. And I think that's something that we've all talked a little bit about in the past. But let me ask you this, and answer to your comfort level. Well, when you look back on your childhood, were there signs that you were struggling that nobody noticed? That now you as an adult look back and like, oh yeah, that was me. Even if you didn't realize that's what you were doing, that was me struggling and sort of begging for help.
I did a lot of art, a lot of like dark, me curled up in the fetal position with people yelling at me artwork. And looking back now, that probably meant something, you know? But yeah. I remember I had one in particular that was hanging in my bedroom for a long time because I was very proud of it. But there was no question about it. There was no like, what does that mean, Brendan, or anything like that. It was just kind of like, wasn't commented on.
I don't think so. I don't recall. I mean, I had weird things, and I've talked about how I had probably some anxiety as a kid, you know, with the fear of being left alone in a store, and also the fear of being buried alive. I don't know if I told you guys that one. I think I did. Did I tell you guys that one?
Buried alive? Brandon, do you remember this?
Oh, okay. So that was another.
No, I don't remember that.
That was another big fear of mine, is that I would wake up buried alive, like for some reason.
Oof. That's a primal thing, man.
It was terrifying. Like I would like think about it a lot. So I guess in that regard, yeah, I guess there were a couple of weird things that kind of went unnoticed or unaddressed. now that I think about it. What about you, Ryan?
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, there are like 5 or 6 thousand different things. I mean, I was, I drew stuff too. I wrote a lot of stuff. I would feel feelings really intensely, seemingly for no reason. I would be upset and cry and be sad for seemingly no reason. And is always chalked up to, he's just weird, or why don't you just lighten up, or, you're just not living right with the Lord or something. And I remember when I was a teenager, I specifically asked if I could see a therapist, and that was a hard no. That was a hard pass. Don't think so, buddy. I was allowed to talk to a pastor, and my mom had a friend who was a therapist, and I was allowed to talk to her informally. But yeah, that was about it for me. At some point in your life, in your young life as a young person, at some point, did you know that something was off, that that you were in some way, I don't want to say different, that there was something about you that you felt was off when you were young?
I would say for myself, kind of, because we didn't really, as a friend group, we didn't really talk about this kind of stuff in junior high and, into high school as much as you probably should, so there wasn't a lot of people to bounce off of that, especially my temper. That was a huge thing for me in junior high and growing up, that my parents always were surprised and disliked me for, was I had a very flash temper. And I would get angry very easily, obviously. And I never had anybody to bounce that off of, to be like, hey, your temper is really out of control compared to what a regular response should be to something. You know what I mean? So
was this in your teen years too? Because I don't remember you being particularly temperamental as a kid.
Yeah, I got a little bit less temperamental in my teen years, but I still have a temper. I still had a temper, and I still have a temper. I have a bad temper. I just have to. I've tempered it a lot from where it was before, So, yes, to answer your question, that is one of the things that I started to realize as I got older. Hey, I am overreacting to things that other people tend to not overreact to. Why am I this way? So
Interesting.
What about you, David?
Yeah, no, not really. I mean, I think that as I kind of discussed in our last episode, I guess, I never really thought of myself as different, or that I had some kind of mental concern. My mother and both my sisters, not to dox them, throw them under the bus in this area, but all kind of struggled with mental health issues, and so I saw them as having concerns and not really myself. It wasn't until, I don't know, my 30s that I really started feeling messed up. And I kind of chalked it up as a result to kind of some of the experiences that I was put through in my first marriage, and then kind of getting out of that, and through my second marriage. As I progressed out of those things, I started realizing where I had a lot of anxiety and other hang-ups from a relationship standpoint. So as a kid, no.
I remember when I was like 7 or 8, I was still very young. I think I was in like around third-ish grade. Like there was a storm, and like the power went out, and I was sitting on the couch goofing around, just like sort of joking around with my little brother, and being like kind of boisterous, kind of rambunctious, like you do. And my dad, who was very stressed about the power being out or something, just sort of exploded at me and was like, "Why can't you just be a normal kid?" But he said it like he like yelled it at me, and then like stormed out. And that was the first time I remember being like, Am I not a normal kid? Like, is there something wrong with me? So yeah, that was, not to put too fine a point on it, that was the first time when I was like, am I not normal? Is there something up? Am I perhaps an X-Man or something?
Do you have any idea what you were doing? I mean, there's no excuse
I
for
was just
saying that to a
goofing.
child, regardless. But
No, Corey and I were sitting on the couch together because mom and dad, like, there was like this huge storm, and like I think my dad was like afraid the basement was going to flood or something, and the power
Mhm.
kicked out. And so he wanted us, both my parents wanted us where we weren't going to like wander off in the dark. So they sat us on the couch together, and they were like, don't move, just sit here. And we were just sitting there and just sort of goofing around. I don't even remember what we were talking about. I think we were just sort of
Yeah,
like goofing, playing, just sort of generally being silly. But typically speaking, I was the one that was more gregarious. I was the one that was more boisterous, more animated in my youth, anyway. And he was like, I remember him like stomping up the stairs so they could hear us talking. He like stopped in the living room and just turned and like wheeled on me and just yelled, "Why can't you just be a normal kid?" And then stormed out. And I was like, "What? Am I not a normal kid? Like what?" I thought I was a normal kid. This isn't normal kid stuff. Like, what do normal kids do?
Yeah,
Not that, apparently, whatever it was.
sounds like it was normal kid stuff. And so, do you think that your hangups then are more of a nurture versus nature origin then?
I don't know. I don't that could possibly be part of it, but over the years, looking back and getting to know my father and his side of the family through the lens of being somebody who works in the mental health field, none of them were all right.
Yeah.
Like, none of them were doing okay
Right.
as vis-a-vis mental health. So it could have gone either way. It could have been something I inherited, some sort of chemical imbalance, and it could have been I was gifted one via subtle parenting strategy. So, or maybe a delightful combination of the two. So, like we talked about earlier and in previous episodes, when we don't get help, us specifically, when we don't get help, we got to get creative sometimes. So, what are sometimes in good ways and sometimes in bad ways? So, what were some ways when you were young? What were your survival strategies as a kid? What kind of coping mechanisms did you utilize as a young person in order to not necessarily blend in, not necessarily mask, but just get by, just get through, deal with unpleasant, uncomfortable, painful emotions, or hide or pretend you were normal? What are some strategies that you utilized as a young person?
I hung out with you guys. You know, my dad was happy that I had friends because my mom kind of like, as long as I wasn't being a shithead, my mom was pretty much neutral. My dad was the one who was like, I want my son to do X, Y, and Z. So he was happy that I had friends at least, and he didn't question too much. He knew you guys were weird, but he wasn't.
Your
He
parents
was
liked
happy.
me. Your parents
Yeah, they
liked
liked
me.
you, but they still thought you were weird.
I mean, that's fucking weird. Yeah, it's true.
You did write, if you remember, it's which is still there, and I think I've mentioned this before. It's still there in my dad's what is his office now. Used to be my bedroom. You wrote, "I have chapped thighs" in Sharpie on the wall, and oh yeah, you did, and it can't be removed. So it still says in his preacher's office when people come in and he consults with
Yeah.
them, "I have chapped thighs."
Yes. Yes.
Let that be my legacy.
Yeah, you have chapped thighs.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I did a lot to mask. And like when I met you, Ryan, you became my best friend through junior high and high school, And you really liked Star Wars. I like Star Wars all right. You really like Star Wars. So I was like, hey, this
Yeah.
dude likes Star Wars. I'm going to really like Star Wars. That way I'll have something to hang out, like something to be friends with this guy about. So I got really into Star Wars, And that was part of like what I did to mask is maybe Star Wars wasn't 100% for me at the time. It totally is now because I allowed myself to immerse myself in it, because I just wanted to mask using that word. I wanted to have friendship as a barrier and a mask to protect myself from my parents and attitudes coming from my parents, And that was one of those things that I think stems from my mental instability at the time as a teenager.
But were you really mentally unstable, or were you just like treated poorly because you were kind of an interesting, artistic, unique individual? Because like what David was saying was like, is this nature versus nurture? Because like it sounds like just from talking to you, it sounds like you were just kind of a quirky kid, and your parents did not want a quirky kid. You know
Oh
what I
yeah,
mean?
that's true. Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just something I was thinking about after David said that.
Yeah, that's something that I have been thinking a lot about as I raise my daughter and as she starts to turn into quite a quirky young girl. She is, she's got a personality, and honestly, she's kind of got my personality, if I'm being honest. And she's very, very independent and very goofy and silly and wants to have lots of fun and is very creative. And it comes across very strangely sometimes. And there are times where I don't necessarily want to follow Ryan's father's path and say, can't you just be a normal kid? But there's definitely times where I'm like, can you like chill out for a second? Like you're just bouncing off the walls and just being completely crazy. And I'm old, I chose to have a child at an older age, so that's on me. But I definitely really try to find myself being like, just let her be a kid. Like, don't be a
Yeah.
curmudgeon-y old grumpy man. Just let her do her thing. So
Did you find that that was an impulse you had to actively struggle against, or was it easy to just sort of let her be whoever she's going to wind up being?
I think that I knew, and my personality is also kind of leans towards just letting her be a kid, obviously guiding her and not letting her hurt herself or do really weird, crazy things.
Or
But
yeah,
but I think my personality lends itself to letting her kind of do her own thing. However, I am surprised at how often I have to tell myself like, don't just don't just be on her all the time. Let her kind of have a little bit of space. It's easy to do when I remind myself of it, but it's just as easy to fall back into that like, God, like chill out. 5 seconds.
mm,
Can I just sit down and like not have you being a weird ass kid all over the place? I would never say that to her, obviously, but it's easy to be a grumpy old man. So I do have to tell myself like, okay, chill out, chill out. Once I tell myself that, it's really easy, but I'm
yeah.
surprised at how often I have to remind myself.
Well, I mean, it's not surprising insofar as like that's how parenting was shown to us. You know what I mean? So like, even if we don't follow that path, even if we finally get it right, like that is that is what we were shown as the behavior that parents engage in. And the fact that you recognize that it is perhaps not the most healthy, and in turn, like, don't go that way, don't utilize those sort of techniques and strategies and allow them to be themselves. I think it says more about you as a parent than than maybe than maybe our previous generations, because our parents also had terrible parents. I think it's probably safe to say, and they in turn chose to engage in a lot of that same behavior, and then it met us, and for some reason we decided, actually, no, I'm not going to do all that stuff. So good work, gang. We did it.
Yay!
Yeah.
We solved a generation.
Yeah,
Mhm.
world's okay now.
So let me ask you a question. When you guys, what did it feel like when did it finally click for you that whatever you were dealing with had a name? And what did it feel like to have a name, to like learn that name and put it to what you were struggling with? And was that something that happened in your youth, or did that happen later on in life as an adult?
Well, my parents took me to a therapist when I was a teenager, and I was diagnosed with depression, but we didn't get the medication for it. They just diagnosed me.
Yeah. Was that a choice?
So
They
that
said
was a
no
parental
medication for
choice.
you?
Yeah. At the time. They relented on it later as I got older, but at the time it was like, we don't want you on medication at this age. So it wasn't until my 20s when I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder that everything kind of fell into place, and I was like, oh, that's what it is. So as a teenager, I just kind of assumed it was depression, but like half of my friends had depression, so it wasn't anything like special to deal with. And I think that I kind of carry that a little bit into my mentality now with mental illness, where I'm like, everybody's got mental illness. It's not that big of a deal, which is completely antithetical to what our show is supposed to be about.
Well, is it though? Because what we're doing is trying to normalize, and treat this with a kind of not levity so much as with gentle hands, insofar as like we can make jokes, we can laugh about it. So I mean, it's not necessarily antithetical to what we're trying to do. But
I don't want to say that just because other people are dealing with this, my feelings are invalid. That's something that I struggle with, unrelated to what we're talking about, I guess. But that's something I struggle with, and that's something that I think people need to remember also, is it doesn't make you invalid. As you say all the time, Ryan, you tell me.
Yeah. I have said that to you. It's true. It's true, famously. What about you, David?
I don't know that I have a name for what's going on up here, because I've never technically been diagnosed with anything. I think that through conversations with you guys and, similar like-minded individuals who I do know suffer with, I've never had quite as in-depth conversations about these kind of things and what I'm going through with other people, but just knowing other people that are open about some of their struggles, I do think that I struggle with anxiety and depression. But I don't know. I don't know how to say this nicely, because I'm not trying to like say that I'm like better or anything, but I don't think that I have severe mental hang-ups issues.
Yeah.
I think that
I'm not like the rest of you.
Yeah, I'm not broken. No, I'm broken.
I'm not like the rest of the people on this podcast who shan't be named.
Everyone on this podcast except me. No, it's trust me, I'm fucked up in the head. I'm not saying that at all.
We all are. Yeah.
I don't know how to just say what I'm trying to say. I feel like I when it happens, I get triggered. It's usually something that triggers me, and then I kind of fall into either become an anxious mess or really start to lose my self-esteem and start kind of self-hatred and end up in a depression. So I certainly have felt that, and I felt it to some extremes, but I guess maybe it's just not as frequent, is what I'm trying to say. So I don't know that I know enough about my own brain to be able to say that I do have a name for what I've got going on. I know I have some relationship PTSD and some triggers that make me act in ways that I don't love and am not proud of, and I can be the fly on the wall and detach myself from the situation and still watch myself say stupid shit that I don't really believe or want to say and act in a silly way.
Dude, I do the same thing, and doesn't it drive you insane to be that fly on the wall and watch yourself? For me, I do it, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" Like I'm yelling from across the room in third person. Like, stop.
That's what it feels like. It's what it feels like. And I've absolutely been in that situation in my own brain, being like, "Just be nice. Just stop. Like, you don't have to act like this." And
I'm thinking about it like, instead of you talking to yourself now, think about you talking to yourself when you were 5.
What do you mean?
Huh?
What do you mean by that? Say.
Well, instead of when you're yelling at yourself now, when you yell at yourself, you're yelling at your present day self. Instead of yelling at your present day self, imagine you're yelling at your 5-year-old self. You're probably going to be a little more patient and a little more like,
I see what you're saying.
Let's do this instead.
Gotcha.
It's easier to show compassion to children than it is to adults, including ourselves.
So almost parent yourself in a way.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Stop yelling, and we can get a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Yes.
Oh
Hell yeah,
man,
dog.
peanut butter and jelly sandwich is a good motivator.
Well, I know for me when I was young, like I didn't know any of this stuff until I was older. Like I was already divorced once by the time I actually had an official diagnosis. But like just as a kid, I was always like, it's just Ryan. He's just weird. He's sad all the time, or why don't you just stop being sad? That was one I got all the time. My dad would be like, "It's a choice. Just choose to stop being sad." Like I don't know how to do that. I was also told I was lazy a lot because I would be like really, really down or like really, really low and be like struggling. And as you know, as you guys both know, when you are really low, it is difficult to fucking do anything. And so I would always be like, oh, God, you're so lazy. And I'd be like, that doesn't make you feel better. Um, and then also too, yeah, some stuff about like, oh, you're not Jesusing hard enough. Your walk with the Lord is not where it should be. I'm just concerned about you're concerned about your walk with Jesus, brother. Because you're sad, and Christians shouldn't be sad. Of course, we only get the good emotions. All the others they're from the devil or whatever. But when I was in my 20s, I actually got like a depression diagnosis, and it was a relief because I was like, okay, so it's not that I am fundamentally bad or broken or wrong. There is just something wrong with me that we can fix. Like there is a thing uh, that there are solutions to. It's not just fundamentally there is a void. There is something that can be done. And then even more so when I eventually got OCD, it explained so much because I remember being like in my 30s and then my doc being like, actually, I think it's OCD. And I was like, why? Because I like to clean stuff? And they're like, no, because you have a bunch of fucked up rules for yourself that if you completely lose your mind if you break one. I'm like, that is true. Very true, in fact. And he was like, what would happen if you wore a blue t-shirt? And I'd be like, oh my God, what? No. So yeah, but insofar as like that is, I think, freeing to have a name for it. You know what I mean? It's not just the demon that lives in your head anymore, right? Mm. So do you ever, and this is a kind of what we were talking about earlier. Do you ever feel grief for the time that you lost or compassion for the younger version of you who was just trying to survive? And what I mean by that is like, do you feel grief for like who you could have been if you had been given access to the necessary treatment that would have helped make a difference?
I think about younger Brandon and I feel very bad for him. And I feel very sorry for him. But I have to think that whatever experiences I had led me to where I am now. And I'm relatively comfortable with where I am now. Not monetarily, no, but lifestyle wise and happiness wise, I'm relatively comfortable now. So I do feel bad on Brandon, but I also in a way feel bad for my young parents at the time who hadn't really dealt with mental illness and didn't know, their parents had no fucking clue about mental illness. Mm-hmm. So I'm not giving my parents a pass exactly, especially my dad a pass for how he handled things. But I also understand that they didn't have as much experience as we do now with our kids. You know what I mean? As far as mental health stuff goes.
Yeah.
So that is my long-winded answer.
What about you, David?
Yeah, I definitely feel that I lost time and definitely got off of a path that I would like to have been on. I think I would be in a better place as a human being, but not necessarily directly because of mental illness issues, more because of the way that I was raised. So kind of going along with what you're saying, Ryan, obviously very Christian household. I don't think that I was, and I guess this is a mental, not illness, but a mental issue, that I was not prepared for the world. I was kind of raised in a bubble. And when I forced myself out of that bubble, really like right when you guys were meeting me, I didn't handle that well. And I didn't handle the transition into being able to be on my own as a young adult well. And so it's not necessarily that I regret not being able to be treated for some kind of mental issue, but I do regret that I was not raised to handle the world and have clear goals of who I want to be and be who I eventually became outside of that Christian bubble. I had to fall on my ass quite a bit from not finishing school, drinking way too much, being in a relationship that I should not have been in for a long period of time, all of those kinds of things. And ultimately where I ended up with my mental hangups, I do believe stems from my being raised in that bubble. So that's what I regret.
Gotcha. Yeah. I think about it a little bit insofar as like thinking about who I could have been if I hadn't been so messed up. This isn't to assign blame or whatever. It doesn't ultimately matter as far as that goes. But like, I do often think about like, man, I feel like I had the seed to be something valuable and like and useful writ large, and that was just kind of crushed. That was just kind of like squashed out of me over the course of my life. And I do kind of think like, man, it would have been nice to have done something with that or be something. So in a way, I do mourn that. But at the same time, it's like I was just trying to survive. You know what I mean? Just like you guys were. I was just trying to. I mean, not to put too fine a point on it, but like you're just trying to keep yourself going. You know what I mean? When you're really low, when you're really having a hard time, you know, you want a reason for tomorrow, and sometimes that's good, and that's got to be good enough. Like there would be plenty of times when I would just come see you guys because like I had a goal in mind, like we are going to go to the mall or we are going to go to the comic book store, but because like if I go see Brandon or Dave, that is something I can do. That is something I can do in the future, tomorrow or tonight or whatever. That's a reason to be in the future. You know what I mean? And so whatever it takes to keep going. And, you know, that was mine.
Well, I want to counter that with this. You said at the beginning of this episode that you're doing like suicide prevention, like 7 days, like multiple times a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah, a few days. Right? Yeah.
That's pretty fucking important stuff, dude. Like, if you think about it, like, even if you have high schoolers who don't give two shits about what you're saying, if you've got one or two kids in every class, or even one or two kids in every other class, that hear what you say and are struggling and are like, maybe I should get some help, or maybe I should do whatever he's telling me to do here, or look into these. I mean, it's a pretty big fucking deal, dude. Like, that's an important thing that you are doing for society. Even if so, I understand where you're coming from, because there could be, you know, I'm not downplaying what you're saying at all. I just want to reiterate to you that I think that what you're doing is important for society, and I don't think you should sell yourself too short on that.
Yeah, even if it's one kid a week or whatever the case may be, it popped into my head as well. Yeah, I agree that you are doing important things. You're doing much more important work than I'm doing. I appreciate that. I make sure that a giant financial company has enough people to answer their calls to talk about financial bullshit. Like Luckily, I don't work for an evil financial company, but I work for a financial company.
Yeah.
Yeah, not working for an evil company is its own reward sometimes.
True.
So let me this kind of segues perfectly into what I was going to talk about next here in the final part of our discussion. One of the few good things about being old is realizing that we can actually change the story for other people in our lives. So, is there anything out there that gives you hope about how kids today talk about mental health and things that they do, things that it's the way that it's treated and handled by kids today as opposed to when we were young?
I think because my kid is 18 now, I think that kids are very open now about their mental health. I think that mental health, is it weird to say, and I hope it's not shitty to say, that mental health and diagnosing each other has become sort of a trend almost, or at least it was for a while, as far as TikTok goes. I mean, my kid was caught up in it too, where every time I would, it would be something else that was like, I think it might be this. I think I might have X, Y, or Z, and you'd have to be like, well, you don't really have symptoms for any of that stuff.
Right. It is very romantic now.
Mental health is romanticized more than it was. And part of me is like, where was this shit when I was a kid? I romanticized mental health. I read Charles Bukowski and drank shitty beer.
We were tortured geniuses.
Yeah.
We were in gifted class. But yeah, I do not to take away anything from anybody's struggles at all, but I do feel like there is kind of, and in a way, it's good insofar as like people are talking about it and people are openly talking about it. I remember this. There's this one. I can't remember what book it was. It might have been an honestly, where like the X-Men become popular in the Marvel universe, and typically they're like hated and feared and despised because they're mutants. They're a minority group. They're like looked down on. They're disparaged. But something happens and they become popular, and like cool kids are wearing like X-Men T-shirts and X-Men buttons or something, and that's good because being accepting and being open and able to talk about these things, not being bigoted towards other groups. But at the same time, it's like, well, you're not all mutants though. You know what I mean? And it's kind of the same thing where it's like, it's good that people can talk about these things. It's good that people feel safe to explore this, and really consider the implications in themselves and look for things in themselves that could potentially be a problem later on. But sometimes I do feel like maybe it's a little bit too romanticized and viewed as like, I don't know. And granted, that's just my outside looking in. Maybe that's not the case.
Yeah.
But
I think that overall it is more helpful than it is harmful, the way the younger generation discusses it. And we can hold our canes and shake our canes at the sky about the young kids today, but I think overall it's good. I think there's some bad to it, and I think there's some things that they are going to deal with when they become parents. It's going to be difficult for them in the same way that it's difficult for every new parent. I'm not sure. I don't know. Go ahead, David. I was kind of trailing off there.
Oh no, you're good. I was just going to say I don't interact with the youths of today like you guys do currently. Obviously my stepson, I have interacted with him, but not as directly, and not the other youths around him as much. So, but I from what I can see of the younger generation, I do agree that they are much more open to talk about these kind of things. I feel like that body image is not as much of an issue at large for this generation. I feel a sense of more comfort in one's own body, no matter what one's body is shaped like. Seems to be more of a trend with this generation as well. And I'm not talking like, I have a joke that when I see a young lady who is dressed inappropriately, I definitely will shake my fist at that and say, not in my house, young lady, and will continue to do that. But, I just mean like at large, it feels like people are more accepting of each other and of themselves from both a body and mind standpoint in this generation. That's my perspective, and it's probably wrong. Ryan?
Well, I was going to say, I think that's probably true. I definitely think that. I mean, I think that there are still things that kids are going to make fun of each other for stuff like that. But
of course,
yeah, you don't really see that much, thankfully, like people making fun of like body image and stuff like that. Not that I know of anyway. Now they make fun of each other for other stuff that I just don't fathom. Like I'll hear my stepkids talking about like they're making fun of like them not being cracked at Fortnite and not having shit taste in anime and stuff. And I'm like, cool. I mean, you're not calling each other names. You're not using any slurs. So that's fine. That's totally fine.
Progress.
But I do, progress. I do think that it is. I do think ultimately it is better. I do think that ultimately being more open. I think us as a generation struggling and not getting the help we need. I think we went on by and large to make sure that the generations that came after us did get the help that they need, that it wasn't like something that was, locked away to them, that it wasn't something that we were going to be ashamed of or embarrassed of or afraid of or anything like that. And that's like the main reason that, because like, the statistic is that like 1 out of every 6 young people in America has some kind of mental health diagnosis, and of the 1 out of every 6, half. And I don't know if this is still the current statistic, but it was the statistic that half of them don't receive treatment because of the stigma associated with mental health. And I think that that's changing, and I think changing for the better. And I think part of it is a consequence of, the fact that we didn't get the help we needed when we were younger. So if that is the outcome, if that's the cost, then I guess it's worth paying, I suppose, right?
We'll fall on that sword for them, I guess. Yeah.
Sure. You're welcome, Gen Z. But anyway, that's all I have for this. So you guys want to do the Grey Matters Munchie?
Yeah.
You guys want to talk about what we doing?
What's
Brandon, I know that you had something specific.
Let's have Brandon kick it off.
So one of my favorite games ever was just transferred to console or moved to console. I didn't know it was coming to console, so I just saw one day on my Xbox that Satisfactory was now on console, and I was like, "What?" So I bought it, and I've been playing it like crazy.
I gotta look.
Fantastic game, and I love it.
I gotta look this up.
Yeah, I didn't know what Satisfactory is.
You've talked about it a couple times, and I don't know what it is, so I'm gonna look it up as my Steam comes
It is
into
a
view
first-person
of the recording.
factory building game.
Oh,
So
Satisfactory. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
The game is like so notoriously addictive that when you play it every 2 hours, it pops up on screen and it's like, "Hey, you've been playing for 2 hours. Maybe you should get some water." And then it's like, "Bing! Hey, you've been playing 4 hours. Maybe you should grab
cool
some
it,
food or
man."
something." Yeah.
Go outside. My God.
Yeah, I know. But that's pretty much what I've been doing. I was doing playing a lot of No Man's Sky as usual, but the new Expedition is one I've already beaten, and that goes on for 2 weeks, so it's 2 weeks off for me from that game because I don't need to do it again. But if you do play No Man's Sky and you play the Expedition, you get the Normandy, which is the ship from Mass Effect, if you guys ever played Mass Effect.
Oh, I know that one. Yeah.
Yeah, you get the Normandy in your fleet if you have a frigate. You've got the Normandy. But anyway, yeah, what about you guys? What have you been munching on, baby?
Oh man, I should not be looking at this. This is checking some boxes and flipping some switches and pushing some buttons.
It's addictive, man.
In my brain, I can see I could see how this is
If
addictive.
if you want a smaller version of Satisfactory that's not gonna be as like you're not gonna have so many hours into, look up Factorio. Satisfactory is basically a first person Factorio. So
Okay.
if you
Gotcha.
like that factory simulation stuff.
Yeah, I've been listening to too many video game podcasts and stuff because there's like my wish list is just, and
Yeah.
I need to stop because every once in a while the wish list is dangerous because it's like, oh, 40% off, you say? That's
Yeah.
still,
Or around the Steam sales when you get an email and it's like 30 of the things on your wish list are on sale.
yeah, it's like, well, okay, I'll buy 5 of them then, and oops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did it again.
Yeah. What have I been doing? So just rewatched the second to last Jurassic World that came out in preparation to watch the latest Jurassic World. Those movies fell off pretty hard, I feel, and I'm fairly confident that the new one's not going to be that great, but I'm going to watch it anyway because, what are you going to do? Have you guys
I
seen
have seen the new Jurassic World.
what do you think of the newest one with Scarlett Jo? How's she in that one?
Granted, I personally have not seen a Jurassic Park movie since Jurassic Park: The Lost World.
Oh,
But
still.
I did see this one in theaters because someone I know was like, I want to see this. Will you go see this with me? And I was like, sure thing. Do I need to have seen the others? And they were like, nah, it's fine. It was boring as shit.
Yeah.
I was hugely disappointed.
Okay, so how do they lose the plot when they have a movie that's about
They
fucking
keep finding fucking
dinosaurs in
islands.
the
There's
real
like
world?
they keep finding. That's kind of what this movie is about, actually, Brandon. Is that everyone's just kind of sick to fucking death of dinosaurs, and it's not like a big deal anymore. And so it's basically the moral of the movie is how dare you not think dinosaurs are badass?
Yeah. I think
Well, that's my question there is how is it boring if the whole fucking movie's about dinosaurs? How bad do you have lost the plot when you have Jurassic
Nothing.
Park as your IP and it's a boring movie,
But the thing is, and the thing is, ultimately, is like it's nothing we haven't seen before. It's like
Yeah.
they did CGI dinosaurs really well, and it's like awesome. That's cool. I could just look at those online, though. I don't need to pay $10
I do think it's
to go look at it in the theater.
I do think it's funny because I have heard that. I do think it's funny that the plot of this one is basically like, yeah, we know you're tired of dinosaurs, but dinosaurs, here are some more.
Yeah, but what if the dinosaurs were mutant monsters? And it's just sort of like, all right, I'll sit down.
That sounds awesome, though.
It should
Yeah,
be,
you
right?
would think, right?
It should be.
You would
Yeah.
think it'd be like badass, but
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just not.
Yeah.
And also too, like the guy who's like the main guy in it, who's like plays opposite Scarlett Johansson, is just he's very much a non-character. I did not give a shit about him. Like to the point where I was like, what happened to that guy? Like they split up at one point, all the main characters do. And every time they cut back to him, I'd be like, oh yeah.
That's good.
I forgot you were in this.
This asshole.
What's your deal again? I'm a science guy, and I'm like a nerd. I'm trapped on this island with all these big tough mans. It's like, oh right, yeah, okay.
They need to cast you in these movies, Ryan. You need to do that voice as that character.
Hell yeah. I'd watch an hour and a half of that
I'm
at
a
least.
scientist. I just trapped
I'm
you
a
with all these
nerd
big, strong
scientist.
hands.
Have you seen that big strong man?
Actually,
There's
I
another
think-
one
and
over
I-
there. And then me, scientist
I think-
guy.
I don't think I could because and I'm being serious here. I think, and let this temper your expectations, I think I would be too manly for the role that they were going for in that character. Like, I don't think I could embody that character very well. I'm just saying something because maybe you've noticed all of my toys around my desk. But yeah.
So there's
that being said, you should still watch it because I kind of want to know what you think about it.
Oh yeah, I'll give an update. I'll definitely watch it and I'll give an update. I'll be on the lookout for Scientist Guy. I can't wait, actually. I think he's going to be my favorite.
Tell him I said hi.
I will.
Tell him I said hi as he pushes his glasses up.
Oh.
And then I also just last night watched Moon Age Daydream, which is a documentary on David Bowie. And
Uh-oh. Is it sad?
no, because it's not your
Oh,
average
good.
documentary. And Kira and I like documentaries quite a bit. And so she's like, oh yeah, let's sit down and get some David Bowie facts. Here we go. Let's get some facts up in here.
Some
And
sick David Bowie facts.
there's no narrator. There's no like interviews with anyone. It is footage from beginning to end. It's just concerts, interviews, interviews as in like him on talk shows and stuff like that. And his weird artsy films that he apparently was, I didn't realize this about David Bowie, but he made like a lot of like little art films. And then like some of his other art and stuff. And so it is in and of itself a piece of art from beginning to end. It's just like, here's David Bowie. And it sort of almost tells a story in that it is kind of chronological. So you see crazy early 70s, late 60s, early 70s David Bowie, just, he was in the full glam rock makeup, and it goes into his Ziggy Stardust phase, and then where he kind of comes out of that, and then he's just wearing suits and is just dapper as shit, and that's kind of my favorite version of David Bowie. And then into like older, more contemplative and reflective David Bowie. And then it does touch base on, you do hear like a lot of music from Black Star, his last album that he created once he knew he was dying.
Black Star was such a good album.
Sad. It made me want to go back and listen to it, because I listened through it straight through probably about 10 times pretty quickly after it came out. And yeah, sad for sure. But then I hadn't listened to it again because it's heavy. It's a very heavy album. It's good. And actually hearing some of the music in the documentary, I was like, oh yeah, that actually was a good album. And so it made me want to listen to it again. It actually made me want to listen to some of his other stuff, because David Bowie is like, when I think of David Bowie, he's got a lot of really good songs, but he's got way more really boring, long ass songs that like
he does.
I don't want to listen to. I just really don't. It's just like kind of like train of thought, like just spewing like words.
Yeah.
To the point like we were listening to one and like the song is going on for like 10 minutes and I'm just like, what? How the fuck did he remember that? How the fuck did he perform that more than once?
His spoken word album.
Yeah, it's just complete word salad. Just like, Jesus, none of that made sense. And I don't understand how you were able to keep that in order in your brain. Especially with the amount of drugs he was probably...
that is, I was going to say cocaine.
Cacania? Yeah, it could have been.
Cocaine, yeah, yes.
But I just think about the amount of other drugs he was probably on too. Like, having dabbled in some drugs, not Cacania, famously, I would not be able to keep my thoughts straight. So actually the answer probably is that, especially those live performances, he didn't remember. He probably did just say some shit. It was train of thought.
Who's going to question him?
Yeah, because they're not going to remember the 10 minutes of words. They're on drugs too. So, but anyway, yeah. So that was an interesting, good time. But I do think that at the end of it, Kira was a little hungry for facts.
You ever listen to podcasts, David? Like in your own time?
I do.
There's one I want to recommend if you like David Bowie. I'll have to find it for you because it's an old episode. It's probably like 8 or 9 years old at this point. But Last Podcast on the Left, which is, I think you guys are familiar with them.
Oh, yeah.
They did an episode on David Bowie's spirituality specifically, and about how he was into Kabbalism, however you pronounce that, like Jewish mysticism. And then he moved on to some book about like the golden aliens. He believed that the aliens seeded the earth for us to mine their gold, and then they were going to come back for it. Yeah. And he wrote "Oh You Pretty Things" is about that, actually. Crack in the sky, hand reaching down to me, stuff like that. So yeah, I'll see if I can find it and send it to you. It's like an hour and a half, and it's so interesting to listen to.
That is interesting. I would like to listen to that because I knew he kind of jumped around from a bunch of different things like Buddhism and all kinds of different spiritual beliefs. And he spent.
He drank a lot of milk. I learned from that podcast.
He drank a lot of milk.
Like whenever he was, whenever he was like real thin, and he's known as the Thin White Duke during that era. He was doing a lot of cocaine. He would drink milk, and there was one thing he would eat. It wasn't celery, but it was something like that. But just for like years, it's all he would eat, and he swore that that's like what kept him healthy, besides probably all the cocaine.
Yeah, well, he also smoked a lot and then got cancer. So
yeah, exactly.
Should have stuck with milk
so
and lettuce.
It's not a surefire method. Is what we're hearing.
Yeah, right? No, there's downsides to everything.
Yeah,
of course.
No, that's interesting. I please do see if you can find that episode, or I'll try to find it too. Because
I'll see if I can find it on YouTube and send it to you.
He was a weird dude. He was a weird dude. But
well, it's funny you mentioned that because in a similar vein, I watched that Elvis biopic that came out recently, just sort of on a whim, like it was on Netflix, and I was like, it just started playing, and I was like, all right, I'm already sitting down. And then I watched the entire thing. It was a real fucking bummer, like a huge bummer, and not just because he dies, because I mean everybody knows that.
Spoilers, God.
It's just like the thing that really stuck out to me is. Everybody in his life took advantage of him. Like everyone in his life was like, yo, this guy's really talented. Let's see if we can get something from that.
That sounds
like to the point where like he would be like in a real shit place mentally, and they just be like, just give him some more drugs. Just give him some more drugs. And like to the point where he like collapsed and they thought he was having a heart attack, and then they're like, well, he needs to be on stage in like 5 minutes. So drugs. And the doctor that he paid to be there with him was like, okay, drugs, I guess. And they just kept giving him drugs. And that was one of the things people always say about Elvis, of course, is that he died on the toilet. And that was because he hadn't shit in 2 weeks, which I don't know if you know this, but that is a byproduct of having a lot of stimulant abuse, is you get extremely constipated. So that is what killed him ultimately, was the stimulants caused his heart to give out, and he died on the toilet from a heart attack because he hadn't shit in 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's a bit
all
of a
because
bummer.
People were like, we need to get more money out of this golden songbird. I was like, man, fuck you guys. Like, that's kind of where I was at the end of the movie. I was like, man, whatever. Like, he had problems, of course, just like any of us, but it was like, Jesus Christ, you could just leave the guy alone. Like, he just wanted to play his guitar and sing and dance, and it's like, yeah, but what if money?
Yeah, but what if money? That's exactly right. It is the root of all evil.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that's all I had. And is there anything else you guys want to recommend or talk about?
I do want to talk about one more thing, and that would be a video game that came out a long time ago, and we played together for a very short period of time, and that's Pokemon Violet. And the reason I'm talking about this is because I've been playing video games with my daughter Charlotte, who is not yet 4, but she was kind of into playing video games here and there a little bit, but she has just completely bought into the fact that video games are the most fun thing in the world. And anytime I call and I'm at work and I call home and I'm like, I'm coming home, I want to play video games. It's like the first thing she says. First thing she does when she wakes up, when are we playing video games? Like, she loves it. And so we play a little bit each day, try to keep it, to a short period of time. But what I love about it is not only is she starting to get good at it and learn how to play on her own, but she's naming all of the Pokemon we catch, and we're trying to fill out the entire Pokedex. And so she's come up with some real winners. Spicy Peppers was one of my favorite. That was a real good one. And then there's some that aren't so good. We've got Basket. I believe there's one named Square.
Is it square shaped?
No.
Oh,
that's the best part of her naming conventions. It doesn't always, actually, usually does not have anything to do with the Pokemon. There's some water-based Pokemon that are named like Fire and things like that. So
yeah.
She kind of Kaiser Soza quite a bit. Like, she's like, Paper.
Yeah.
Cool.
George Glass.
Exactly. So
For our Brady Bunch fans. In the audience.
Yeah, for the deep cut Brady Bunch reference.
Yeah. For our listeners born in 1958.
That's what the people
Pork
come to this
chops and
podcast.
applesauce. Yeah.
But okay, that's it. I'll get off of my Pokemon high horse here.
That's adorable, though, man.
Yeah, it's been a blast.
Yes, it really is. All right. Well, in that case, we will let you go this time, dear listeners, but don't let us catch you around these parts anymore. Until then, I have been your very best friend, Ryan Brown.
I've been the shepherd of the forest, and if I catch you back here again, I'm going to sneak into your house and I'm going to lick on your toes. And in the basement, who we got?
I'm downstairs polishing my shotgun, so you better get out of these parts. David Musgrave, the man kissed by all angels. What?
I was going to say, we were violent, Brandon. You made it weirdly sexual.
There's nothing sexual about licking a toe.
He's gonna lick him violently.
Sorry about that. Okay.
Okay.
The first hate mail we get. I was listening to your podcast about licking toes.
And I must say, I will not be shamed for the likes of you.
And we're probably